We are 6 women.
We are wordsmiths.
We are magic.
We are curious.
We are contradictions.
We are wanderers.
We are people of many names.
We are mind trekkers and story weavers.
We are adventurous spirits.
We continue to grow.
We've been baptized in the font of dream and memory.
We are partly truth and partly fiction.
I am Gail.
I am Joanne.
I am Margie.
I am Katie.
I am Marion.
I am Mary.
We are the Mystic Order of East Alabama Fiction Writers.
Hello and welcome to the Mystic Order podcast. This is Mystic Mary, and we've got a great podcast today, especially because we have a guest. So I'm going to quickly jump in and introduce our guest. It is the author, Dana Gynther, who lives far away, and I'm going to let her take it from here.
Well, hello. Thank you for having me. I live in Spain, and I am an author. I've written 3 novels, and am now working on short memoir pieces. And I just got one accepted for publication in the Hawaii Pacific Review. So I hope it's not out of Maui. I'm not sure where it is, because I'm sure they have other fish to fry over there.
Dana, please tell us about your books.
Where can we find your books?
Well, you can find them on Amazon and other online sources. They're historical fiction, and the first one is called Crossing on the Paris, which Mystic Mary titled over a beer many years ago. And the second one is called The Woman in the Photograph, and it's a fictionalized biography of Lee Miller, who was an amazing woman, a beautiful model turned photographer. And then the last one is The Admiral's Baths, which takes place in the city where I live, Valencia, Spain.
Wonderful. And as Gail said, you can get all 3 of them on Amazon. Wonderful.
And Dana is one of my best friends and goes way, way back to high school. And we had a good time last week at the beach with 2 other friends. And we read notes and silly things we had written in high school and giggled and giggled. And I want everyone to know that if Dana were a fruit, she would be a green grape.
With seeds.
With seeds.
No, these are the things we decided when we were 16 years old. Mary was an apple.
I was an apple. All right, so let's move on and see who else is here.
I bet everyone here could guess which. You don't count Dana, and neither do you, Mary, but I bet the other 3 of us know which beach.
Oh, yeah. Everybody knows which beach.
Edisto
Island.
Absolutely, yes.
All right, let's see who else is here. Let's see. Who's to my left?
The Queen is here.
And Joanne, the public, was it the public defender? The mystic defender. She's not the public defender any longer.
The private defender.
The private defender.
And Margie, the mystic illuminator, is present.
We're missing 2 mystics. That would be the lovely Marion and the beautiful Katie.
And I don't know where they are.
I know it. They've missed it. That's all I can say.
We are mystified by the missing mystics. Okay, so let's see. Before we get started into the heart of our podcast, which, by the way, is a game show, so you folks be on your toes. What kind of good books are you folks reading lately? Anybody want to share?
Well, I've been listening to, and I've ordered it so I could read it too, the Hail Mary Project, or Project Hail Mary, that's what it's called, by Andy Weir, who's the same guy that wrote The Martian. And it's science fiction, but it's quite good. And I might recommend listening to it just because there's some sound effects that are kind of great to hear. Anyway, I think I'm not finished with it, but it's very engaging. Very scientific. Mary, you'd like it.
Okay, that sounds interesting.
That's interesting because today is a big Marian feast. It's the Maria Himmelfahrt. In German, it's the Assumption. Yeah, it's a Catholic thing. But that's at the Hail Mary Project. I love that.
Yeah. When Mary ascended to heaven.
Yes.
Today, absolutely. On the 15th of August.
Exactly.
Wow.
It's a good time to go because it's hot on earth.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Could be.
Well, I have been kind of binging Barbara Kingsolver.
Nice.
And The Lacuna, I think, is one of the best
That's
she's
wonderful.
ever. Demon Copperhead, I thought was great.
Did you think it was a bit lengthy?
No, No, I really enjoyed it.
I think if a book keep open a very heavy door, it's too long.
Well, now.
But you could argue that David Copperfield was also very long, and that was, I think, the foundation.
Yeah.
But the kind of the unsung one that I thought was so beautiful was Unsheltered. Have y'all read that?
I don't
No.
think
I can't
so.
Is it
remember.
Unsheltered? Oh my God,
Yeah,
maybe
I
I'm
think
saying
it
it wrong.
is. Is it unshuttered? It's unsheltered.
It's the one about a woman botanist in a utopian society.
I did read it, but I don't
Oh.
remember that being the name. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I love that.
Yeah, so very beautiful.
Okay.
Well, Joanne, did you read anything?
Well, I have been reading not cozy mysteries. I started many years ago and just picked them up again because I had all of them listed in my. one
You're
of my
getting ready for
libraries.
your trip.
I am
Not beach books, but walk books.
Well, these are. I guess they could be either one, beach books or walk books. But it's the series, The Number One Ladies Detective Agency by Alexander McCall Smith. I know, and I love the title character is Mara Ramatswe, who is a traditionally built woman. I love that.
Traditionally built.
She's a traditionally built woman.
You know, they have the first 6 books in a short TV series.
Well, I just learned that there's a TV series. I'm excited about that.
It's been out a long time. I don't know if you can find it. I think it was on Max, HBO Max, when I watched it, but that had to be 10 years
And
ago.
if it's been like 10 years ago, you can probably get it on YouTube someplace. So,
And
yeah.
also, I heard him speak at the Edinburgh Book Festival
Oh, wow.
in 2019 or 2018. He's quite a good speaker.
Looks like you can see the character,
Well,
too.
he's an interesting writer.
Yes.
Well, I have been reading 4 out of 5-star books. I don't want to, but it's just happened that way. I read The Boston Girl by the same person that wrote The Red Tent, which was definitely a 5-star
No,
book.
The Red Tent
Yeah.
was amazing.
But The Boston Girl is not amazing. It'd make for a good beach book. But I was disappointed because I like to, because of my advanced age, I like to only read the very top 5-star books, and I haven't done it. Because I've been so disillusioned, I went to the TV and watched Fisk on Netflix. And it's
Fisk.
5-star.
Fisk.
Fisk. It's about a woman lawyer, and she's Australian, I think. It's hilarious. Fisk.
Well, I've been in a reading drought, but I am listening again to Like Water for Elephants, which I just did it again. I'm listening to Water for Elephants, not to be confused with Like Water for Chocolate, which are
yes.
both excellent books. And I'm also watching something really good on Netflix, and I can't tell you the name of it because I'm unprepared, but it's about the Lakers empire, and I think everybody else has watched it, and it's really delightful, even though I don't like basketball. Something about winning. So there's my very unprepared narrator statement. So, are you guys ready to play our game? Oh, no, we're not. We're going to talk about a trip that the Mystics just took.
Oh, yeah.
Where did the Mystics go?
Well, the Mystics went to Amelia Island, Florida, and we did a presentation at Story and Song Bookstore, which is a
Wonderful bookstore.
wonderful independent bookstore. And it was set up actually by my sister, Siri Andre, who lives on Amelia Island. She
Not
knows-
the bookstore, but the reading.
Yeah, she set up the reading, and she knows the bookstore owner. So we were invited, and it was great. They had a luncheon for us, and
50
we just,
people came.
Yeah, we just talked about our books and sold quite a few, and just had a great time.
And if you own an independent bookstore out there and want the Mystics to come, we're your people.
We are. We will.
We want to
come.
travel abroad, so just be, if you have an independent bookstore somewhere, in Scotland, we're your girls.
Well, what was it like? I mean, I saw online that it was a luncheon or something, and folks were coming to come in and eat and listen to the
yeah.
Mystics. What was the
My
format?
favorite thing, well, there was a lot of favorites because it was an amazing bookstore. She doesn't need us to advertise her bookstore because she's going to make it. It was a great bookstore. But the thing I liked about the reading is before we even got started and the guests were coming in, several of them had on their Auburn T-shirts.
Nice.
Some had on Margie's Creations, and they would come up and show us, had on kind of a sparkly Auburn T-shirt. And it was really fun to know they had done their found out who we were and where we were from, did their homework.
A prepared audience. That's interesting.
We even sat up on a day, and I just thought about when we had gone to the Columbus Library to see Emma Tolles and, who wrote Where the Crawdads Sing, Delia Owens. You know, they were all sitting up there on the day in these chairs, and they looked so important. That's where we were.
Yeah, I called it our Dick Cavett speech.
It was so nice.
Yeah, Story and Song has a lovely bookstore downstairs, and then upstairs they have a place for performances. And I think both of the owners are musicians, so they do a lot of music as well. And they also offer a lot of courses for children in the community, and it's just a really great place.
I want to know, like, did anybody do anything? Like, did any of the mystics mess up or steal shoes?
Yes.
Or tell us something weird.
I misbehaved.
Okay, tell us.
Because Margie's sisters set this up, they assumed that Margie was the Queen Mystic and introduced her as the Queen Mystic. So I had a royal fit. Oh, no. Right in front of the audience. I said, there's been a terrible, terrible mistake here. Margie is not the Mystic Queen. In fact, that would be the Gale. And I just, showed my butt.
Did you have a wall-eyed fit, Gail?
I had a monkey fit.
Oh, my gosh. These are the moments we live for.
I enjoyed being the queen for a minute.
Queen for a day. But she didn't even get a washing machine. It was sad.
Okay. Well, I'm glad y'all survived your Amelia Island adventure.
It was lovely.
Where is Amelia Island?
In Florida.
In Florida. Okay.
It's near Jacksonville. It's on Fernandina Beach. Fernandina Beach is Amelia Island's big district, I guess.
Dana, have you ever had any major flub-ups or catastrophes in your readings? You do a good bit of reading.
I must say I prepare a lot. I mean, I have to do some of my readings in Spanish, some of them in English. I'm always more nervous when I have to speak in Spanish. I've said a few jokes that maybe weren't as appreciated as much. I said once that I was going to talk about my first two books, and then I would get straight to the baths. Which my third book is called The Admiral's Baths. So I said, and then we'll go straight to the baths, down the hall and to the left. Anyway.
Oh, it's so hard. All right, well, here's what we're going to try today. This is going to be our inaugural game show. We're going to do our version of Wait, Don't Tell Me, but we've got to call it something different because we know that everybody at NPR listens to our podcast.
I'm going to say Wait, Telamystic.
Okay, Wait, Telamystic. Okay, that could be like T-E-L-E, like Telamystic. All right, Wait, Telamystic. So we have each scoured the interwebs for news and other items of interest and mixed them up with some fancy of our own. And we're going to read and vote on which one we think is true. Everybody familiar with how to play the game?
So we're going to read 3, and then one of them is true, and we're going to guess which one is true.
Exactly. Now, those were the directions. Some people have veered from the directions.
Would that be you, Miss Mary?
That would be me who wrote the directions.
Well, and I will have to say that I did because I thought it was that we had to tell which one was false. And so I had to go and rewrite, but it's all good. It's all good now. Good.
I did mine when you first assigned it, and so when I went back and read over it yesterday, I couldn't remember which one was false.
Well, this is going to be really interesting.
I've cleared it up now.
Classic Mystic fashion. No one followed the directions, but we're going to have a good time. So, who volunteers to be our first newscaster? Here comes Margie.
Margie.
Okay, I will. Now, the first one is a story about the color red. The next time you put on bright red lipstick or rouge, eat a red M&M, enjoy red velvet cake, or cherry Coke, be aware that the red coloring in these projects is made from insect blood. That's right. The blood from the tiny cochineal insect found in huddled masses on the sunny side of a prickly pear cactus leaf have been the source of the carmine color red used in dyes, makeup, and food coloring for centuries. It takes a lot of insects, around 70,000 dried insects for a pound of the raw cochineal but the end result is one of the strongest and brightest colors the world has ever known. Civilizations have been aware of this insect's colorful secrets for quite some time. It was used as a dye in Central and South America from at least the 2nd century BC and became intrinsic to the Aztec and Incan empires. Later, when it was exported to Spain and other European countries, it dyed Venetian velvets, funded the Dutch dye industry, clothed Roman Catholic cardinals, gave women's cheeks a rosy flush, and was also used as a medicine. These insects are still being harvested today to produce the cochineal used by cosmetics and food industries. There are signs, however, that the human species' appetite for this insect may be waning. In 2021, Starbucks abandoned its principal food red coloring of strawberry frappuccinos and cake pops after an outcry from vegetarians and Muslims. Excellent news for the cochineal, but perhaps less so for the world's prickly pears. Okay, that's story 1. Story 2, the spider web fabric. Anachronologist, or how do you say the...
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Dr. Parker Peterson has discovered a method for training the Argiope aurantia, commonly known as the riding spider, yellow garden spider, zigzag spider, to weave intricate fabrics for the fashion house of Alexander McQueen. In keeping with the late McQueen's love of exquisite tailoring and unique detail, this versatile, strong, and natural fabric is perfect for Alexander McQueen's fashions. Dr. Peterson, a professor of biology at the University College London, has been studying web technology for years, but only recently realized he could train these spiders to weave fabric that could be worn. To quote Dr. Peterson, "The whole process is rather a secret, and I'm waiting for my patent on this process to explain more. I should mention, though, that the end result is very lovely." When asked why he chose McQueen's fashion house, Dr. Peterson explained, "Lee, Alexander's first name, and I grew up together in public housing in London's Lewisham district. We both achieved success by very different paths, but we always remained good friends. After his death, I vowed that any discovery I made with the spiders would be shared with Lee's fashion house. I think he would be extremely pleased with my contribution. The new Aconid fabrics will be featured in the 2023 fall collection." Okay, story 3. Color choices may be tied to intelligence. In a recent study published in the journal Nature, researchers at the University of Michigan have found the intelligence of an individual may be directly tied to his or her choices of the color garments they wear. Dr. Penelope Ware, one of the researchers, commented, "We interviewed over 500 individuals inquiring on their preferred color choices for garments, and then each took an online IQ test. The results were rather amazing. The folks choosing the red color had the lowest scores, many below 100, while the folks choosing blue scored the highest, between 115
I'd like to point out that I have on blue today.
and 145, with the average score of 130. We're still ranking other colors to see how those colors stack up. We still need to account for the different values, lightness or darknesses, as well as the intensity, brightness or dullness of the major hues. Our next step will include doubling the individual survey to make any final conclusions. What is your favorite color to wear?"
Excellent.
Okay.
Very well done, Margie.
These are some good stories. So we had to choose one that is false, correct?
No, we have
One that's true, I mean. Yeah.
Yeah, Mary, stick with the program.
Sorry, I did. Brain dead. Okay.
I'm going to say that number 1 is true because it's the longest.
Also, I had heard about that, but I didn't think it was the insect's blood. I thought it was
Bingo.
just
Yeah,
the
not
shell
insect's
and kind
blood.
of crushing the insect in its entirety. The blood. Do insects have blood?
The blood does give the color. Well, the whole thing.
Okay, Margie, don't give any hints, but I'm going with one.
Just a fake story, I mean.
When I was in Mexico, I went to a person who does weavings, rugs mostly. In fact, I have one. I'll put online after this podcast. The red color came from insects. Mm-hmm. So I immediately wrote true next to Margie's number 1.
And see, I'm
What about
having,
you?
yeah, I'm contemplating because my husband's company worked on using spider webs into fabric because the strength of a spider web, and if you have ever walked through the woods in the fall, I could have made a pattern yesterday, just even yesterday. The spiders were out.
I'm going to say no to that story because it's not fall.
I know you already said what you are. You already said what you are. And then, as far as the color
your story, not Margie's.
I'm sorry, girl. What? Go ahead.
Your story.
My story.
Walking through the woods
Forest.
in the fall.
Oh, shala. Anyway.
Oh, shala.
Oh, shala.
I'm going to start saying
The
that.
color and the color of intelligence, they always tell attorneys to wear red. The women attorneys. And so that may be true.
Is it to look powerful and
To
bold?
look powerful, yeah. It's supposed to be powerful, but, powerful does not necessarily mean intelligent. So I'm going to say the true one is the spider web.
Okay. Joanne's voting for story number 2. Dana, where are you?
Well, I'm going to agree with Gail on this one, that I had heard a lot of that before. I don't know. There were so many details that I don't know if all the details were true. But I have a hard time believing that a spider web could be made into fabric, even though I know that they're amazing. They have a lot of qualities, but a worm isn't a spider. So I don't know. And you, Mary?
I am going to vote for number 2, the spider web as being true. I happened to write a column this time last year about orb weavers, and there was something, I did find something where they had made a gown, a beautiful gown, and also they use it in surgical procedures because it's so tough. And I was very impressed with the writing of number 1, and so if it's not true, I applaud. Well, actually, I thought they were all really well written, Margie.
Which one did not get a vote?
Number 3 did not get a vote. The
But what's
color
it about?
intelligence.
Color
yeah.
and
Oh, yeah.
intelligence.
Okay, so everybody's votes are in. We've got 2 for number 1 and 2 for number 2. And I say in awarding points that if Margie fools us all, she gets a point. So, okay, let's hear it, Margie. Which one was true?
Mary has to give me the microphone.
It was true that Mary is wearing red. No.
Yes, number 1 was true. And this comes from The Secret Lives of Color by Cassia St. Clair, which is a great book on all the colors.
It is the insect's blood. though. I
Well,
don't think of insects
that's
having
what I've
blood.
gathered, but it could be the whole insect crushed body. So that might have been a little bit inaccurate, but still, overall, it's true.
They were crushing the bodies of the insects at the rug place in Mexico.
It might be
Gail
hard to,
and Dana get a point.
it might be hard to separate because they're not very big. They look like seeds. They might be hard to separate the body from the blood.
I remember there was kind of a to-do about having bugs in yogurt some years ago. Do y'all remember that?
I
There
thought that
some
was goats.
protesting.
Goats
and
yogurt.
worms and McDonald's hamburgers.
No, but I mean coloring the cherry yogurts or the strawberry
Yes,
yogurts
yes.
with this particular insect, and
Yeah.
some people were outraged.
Yes.
Oh.
But it had been going on for millennia, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's all news to me.
I think it sounds like a
I
column.
should say that the red dye is disguised as E120, just in case you want to read that on your label.
E120.
Wisconsin.
I have a quick comment about spiders too. Y'all were, trying to debate you weren't actually debating, but whether Joanne was walking into spider webs. This time last year, it was a few weeks previous to this that I wrote my first column, and it was about not the riding spiders, but the other huge golden orb weavers. I could not walk through my yard without walking into those. They were everywhere, and I have not seen one yet.
They'll come.
Yeah, last year I thought, are they early? I thought they were September critters.
They are
So,
usually September.
When did
critters.
you see them last year?
very early August, first week in August.
Yeah.
And they were everywhere, and everybody was talking. I mean,
Yeah.
And so they
Maybe
were,
it's not
I guess,
their
just early.
year.
I think they come every year.
I walked through. I did walk through the woods yesterday. Anyway, and I looked down and I had 3 spiders riding on me.
Riding spiders.
riding spiders. One was a little smiley face spider. I know that there's a scientific name for it, but I'm not sure.
The smiley facey eye works. Okay, who wants to be the next reader?
I'll be the next reader.
Okay.
Mine's not as long as Margie's, but
But you have more in case we need more, right?
that's right.
There
if
you
if
go.
we run out of thoughts, I've got a couple more.
Okay.
These stories are about the Hollywood sign.
Oh.
In my first story, I'll read. In 1932, Peg Entwistle and her father, Robert S. Entwistle, both Broadway actors, climbed by way of a workman's ladder to the top of the H sign, the Hollywood sign. In an obvious suicide pact, both father and daughter jumped. Robert lived for several months after the incident. However, Peg died instantly. Little is known about the reasoning behind this terrible act. Peg had just finished filming 13 Women, her only starring film, which was released posthumously.
13 sounds very unlucky.
She should have made another before. Okay, the suicide pact is number one.
Okay,
Creepy.
number 2. At times, the Hollywood sign has needed restoring. In the late 70s, the sign was in much need of repair. There was a public campaign to restore the sign. 9 high-profile donors gave approximately $30,000 each. Gene Autry, Hugh Hefner, Andy Williams, Alice Cooper, and Warner Brothers Records were among the donors. Alice Cooper's donation was given in memory of the comedian Groucho Marx. And my third story. In 2010, a banner covered the Hollywood sign reading, "Save the Peak." It was placed by environmentalists and preservationists concerned about the possibility of a real estate development. The plans for this development included a casino, a water park, and a smaller version of the Hollywood Bowl. Enough money was donated, and much of it by Hugh Hefner, to buy the land and put it in a trust. It is now part of Griffith Park.
Well, all of those sound true to
Gosh,
me.
They all sound true.
But I think I have just recently read that Alice Cooper and Groucho Marx were friends. So that gives a little validity to number 2.
Are you going with a 2?
I'm gonna just jump right into number 2.
Jumping into number 2. Okay.
I'm going to vote with 2 too. 2 also. I think I remember reading about the restoration of the sign, and a lot of people donated. So I'm going with 2.
Well, I'm also going with 2, and not because I was influenced by y'all, but I just thought it just had the most ring of truth. Although it's not an easy one because I think any of those could be true.
I'm, with Auburn being built up by developers, I can see where someone in California would try to buy the sign. In fact, some developer is trying to buy up burnt Maui right now.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
right up there with, we won't go there because I guess developers are good. So I'm going to go with 3.
All right. So everybody has voted. We've got Dana, Margie, Mary on 2, Joanne for 3. Gail, which one's true?
2.
Number 2. All right. So Dana gets a point, and Margie gets a point, and Mary gets a point. This puts Dana in the lead with 2 points. Well, wow. We can really write up some things that aren't true. We could be in the news business. Who's next?
It's just fiction.
Dana?
We're
Joanne?
fiction writers. Yeah, we can make this stuff up. Oh, yeah, I'll be next.
Okay, Joanne's jumping in.
Okay, as the mystic defender, I thought I would go down the legal route. So I'm going to discuss with you 3 pretty common crimes in Alabama and how they have been upheld by the courts. Harassment. A person commits the crime of harassment if, with the intent to harass, annoy, or alarm another person, he or she either strikes, shoves, kicks, or otherwise touches that person or subjects them to physical contact, or, more commonly, directs abusive or obscene language or makes an obscene gesture toward another person. Miss Miller was intending to harass, annoy, and alarm Miss Merritt by calling her a bitch 3 times. And I know that's not polite to say but it's in the records. And exclaiming, "You got a red dress like a damn devil." The city of Fairhope found Miss Miller guilty of harassment. And the Court of Criminal Appeals agreed with the city of court, stating you cannot call a woman a name like that, and you sure can't talk about her clothing.
Oh, or the devil.
So, driving under the influence. A person shall not drive or be in actual physical control of any vehicle while there is a 0.08% or more by weight of alcohol in his or her system, or he or she is under the influence of alcohol. Because the word vehicle was used in this particular crime, the state of Alabama recently amended the law to include marine vessels and any marine device making it illegal to operate a boat under the influence of alcohol or drugs. But way before that time, the state had determined that a vehicle could be a bicycle, could be a golf cart, or could be a horse, any mode of transportation. So you could be DUI on your bicycle, and a friend of mine says, I'm drunk as a bicycle. Or you can, in Alabama, you cannot even have your trusty steed take you home if you're intoxicated.
It's terrible. And you can also be arrested for walking around drunk. So I don't know how folks
Well, that's
are supposed
public.
to get home.
That's public
Okay.
intoxication, different from DUI. Okay, Alabama has always been an agrarian state, although they do recognize property rights in a most stern way.
Wait, is this now onto number 3?
This is number 3.
Okay,
I'm
okay,
so
okay.
sorry. I'm sorry.
Here we go. So that was
This is
the
the third
driving
one.
under
Yep.
the influence.
And there is a law stating that you cannot permit livestock or animals to run at large upon the premises of another without permission, or you cannot allow them to run on public lands, highways, etc., generally, again, without permission. The law states it should be unlawful for the owner of any livestock or animals to knowingly, voluntarily, negligently, or willfully permit such livestock or animals to go at large in the state of Alabama. The courts have been very liberal in interpreting knowingly, voluntarily, negligently, or willfully. So if your cows escape the fence and you're not aware of their flight, you may not be liable no matter how many times it happens. Because as a local official charged with this section defended, you cannot control your cattle or your children.
Okay.
So
All right,
harassment,
so only
DUI.
one is true. Margie's talking without a microphone. Here you go, Margie.
We were just going
We
over.
were recapping.
We were recapping.
So harassment.
Can you cheat by working together on this?
Oh, we're not working together. I was
just reviewing.
looking at her notes.
I will go. Harassment, whether it's harassment to call a woman a bitch and then say you've got a red dress like a damn devil, whether you can be DUI not only in a car but in your golf cart, on your bicycle, or on your horse, or whether or not your cattle can run at large if you do not knowingly, negligently, willfully permit them to do so, because and this was literally was in the paper not too long ago, local official said you cannot control what your cattle or your children do.
That was very good because I don't know, and I'm thinking you should have been a public defender.
I was.
She was.
I don't believe the horse story for one moment. I'm going to say number 3 is true.
Number 3.
I'm going to say number 1. Number 1 is true just because it's so much fun.
I'm going to go with 2.
Number 2 is true.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got married.
Well, I had the exact same thought as Dana. I chose the one I liked the best because I honestly think they're all true. I think Joanne misunderstood. So I'm going with the devil in the red dress because that's just great. So that's Mary and Dana for 1. Number 2 is driving under the influence. That's Margie. And Gail is going for 3. All right.
Driving under the influence. You can be drunk on your horse and charged with
Yay,
driving
Margie.
under the influence. You can also be drunk on your bicycle
Is Margie
in
the only
Alabama.
one that got that?
She's the only one that
Only
got
one.
that.
All right. So Dana and Margie are tied. hide. So y'all better hide your notes from each other.
So, have any of you ever been drunk on a horse?
I have been drunk on a bicycle.
Okay.
Actually, several times.
Yeah.
I don't have a car where I
gonna
live,
say-
and so sometimes coming home from the bars.
But
Yeah.
and if you just to know that Alabama is one of the few states that do have that. There's only about I think there's maybe 15 states that say you can be drunk on any vehicle, including a bicycle. So as long as you stay in Europe, you're good, Dana.
Maybe, maybe I'm good to go.
Well, I got really drunk with my friend Husky, my late friend Husky, and decided I was just going to jump on this horse's back that was out in a pasture, and I did, and rode around like Cher. Woohoo, this is fun. And I could not walk for weeks. And if anybody is interested in hearing me read a micro memoir about that event, it is on YouTube, and it is called The Miracle of Ramshackle Shack Wine. And it was.
You read that to us.
Yes,
Well,
you
it's on.
should.
I might have, but it's also on YouTube, and it's a pretty funny story. And we were on a private property, so if there's any law listening,
Well, I always thought this was very, very unfair because if you can't jump on the back of your horse and say, Silver, take me home.
I know.
Yeah.
My horse was named Pearl, not Silver.
All right, well, Pearl.
And I mean, if the horse isn't drunk,
That's right. Which
Or if the car isn't drunk.
That's right.
My bike has never had a
drunk.
sip.
It's never
Yeah.
been
I
drunk.
bet there's not a drunk golf cart either.
Well,
They all seem kind of drunk to me.
yeah.
okay. You know what I think I'd like to do is, Gail, you have short ones, right? I'd like for you to do another one of your short ones
Well, I have short
enough
ones,
time.
too.
Oh, okay. Well,
Well, Dana, you do your
a Dana
short.
short one.
She's our guest.
Okay.
Go.
So
Bounce around.
all of my little short ones are about Spain and Spanish culture. So you will be sad to hear perhaps that in Spain there is no tooth fairy, but needless to say, children still lose their teeth and require compensation. So instead of a fairy, they have the dove, Paloma, who flies in at night, takes the tooth from a saucer left on the bedside table, and leaves a coin. Nowadays, typically it's €1. Okay, so that's the first one, the tooth fairy. So the second one, Shakespeare fans of Othello might wonder exactly what a Moor is, Othello the Moor. They were Muslims that came up from northern Africa who took control of the Iberian Peninsula in the 1200s. They were called Moros from the word mora, which means blackberry, just FYI. Okay, and the last one is the Spanish national anthem. Although it's one of the oldest in the world, it has no words. I don't know if it had words during Franco and they were abolished. They have had competitions to decide on lyrics, but it hasn't had words for 30 years at least, ever since I've lived there. And so every time you have the Olympics or some kind of international competition and the French are singing La Marseillaise and everybody else is belting out their national anthem, the Spanish athletes are standing there kind of sad.
Humming.
They go bum bum ba bum bum ba bum bum ba bum 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 bum. So those are my 3 stories.
All right, tooth fairies, Shakespeare and the Moors, and what is a Moor? A Moor, and the bum ba bum ba bum.
Amor.
All right, who's voting? Who's ready to vote?
I'm voting. Oh, Margie's voting. No, you go.
Well, they're all great. They really are. I'm going to go with the Moors. It's number 2.
Margie's going with the Moors. I'm going to go with number 3 because of Dana's delivery. So,
And Dana ain't talking, so there ain't no words.
I was going with the Moor until she said blackberry, and that did it for me. I went with 3.
okay, Joanne.
I think I'm going to go for the Moors too, because I really wondered where the Moor came from. Mora. I should know that.
So we've got Joanne and Margie are going for the Moors, and Mary and Gail are going for the Spanish national anthem, and nobody went for the tooth fairy. So,
Okay, well, I will tell you a little bit there are some half-truths here, right? So the Spanish don't have a tooth fairy. They have Ratoncito Pérez, which means little mouse by the name of Pérez. And he comes and crawls into your
So
room
it's
at
not a
night.
dove.
So it's not a dove named Paloma.
Oh,
So-
I love that, though.
Yeah,
I love
it's
that
a
a little rat
mouse.
or little
well, it's a
mouse.
little mouse, yeah.
Oh.
So, also, it is the blackberry is true, the mora, but they came to Spain as early as 711.
Oh, who knows that?
Well,
Dana.
but it's amazing because you think
There was
they've been there since the 8th century, right? Until 1492 when they got kicked out. So I said the 1200s, giving you guys a moment to think about.
Okay.
Okay, but it is indeed true. And if you're watching the Women's World Cup right now, Spain is doing very well. You can watch the Spanish athletes, the Spanish football players, just kind of sitting there.
Yay!
Yeah.
So who gets the points?
The
Gail?
national
and
anthem,
Mary?
people. Yay!
Yeah, that's why I heard.
Hey, we're
that-
tied.
I heard Spain won, and I thought
I forgot your
I
name.
should have watched them to see if they just toned along.
Yeah.
Well, that's delightful. When you said that thing about the blackberry, it reminded me of something really that I just learned, and this is actually true, that cranberries are so named. They were originally called craneberries because the flower of the cranberry looks like a crane. So there's a little...
Like the bird, the crane?
Yeah, like a bird.
You know what I don't like about cranberries? Those
What?
guys standing in the lake of cranberries.
You don't like
Oh,
that?
I think that's beautiful.
Well, but it's nasty.
Well, they're going to wash the cranberries.
You think?
Well, what about all the manure that fertilizes all the rest of your food?
That falls to the bottom. The boys in the cranberry lake don't.
Gail has a tidy thing going.
I do.
She's a little bit whack when it comes to cleanliness.
there's something wrong with Gail.
So, Gail, you want to do an interlude with
All right.
your shorties? Those were fun too, Dana, by
Okay.
the way. We learned.
My next one is on the private eye. And the first story is the Pinkertons' first sign had a human eye painted on it. The company's logo was a wide open eye with the words, "We never sleep." And according to one account, the eye was inspired by a mastiff named Argus, whose namesake was the 100-eyed giant from Greek mythology, hence the name Private Eye. The second story is the Osage Indians hired white detectives to find out who was murdering members of their tribe from 1910 to 1930. The Indians held a ceremony in which the chief, Running Cloud, called out to the gods to give the white men the eyes to see the evil, and therefore the detectives became their private eyes. Number 3. Alan Pinkerton became famous when he claimed to have foiled the Baltimore plot to assassinate President-elect Abraham Lincoln in 1861. Lincoln later hired the Pinkerton agents to conduct espionage against the Confederacy and act as his personal security during the Civil War. Lincoln's Secretary of the Treasury, Salmon P. Chase, suggested releasing the detectives from full-time duty due to the cost. Abraham Lincoln answered, "These are my eyes."
What an interesting thing to think about, the history of the private eye. Anybody ready to vote while we mull?
I like Abraham Lincoln saying, "These are my eyes." I like the mental image of that.
Does that mean you're voting for it because
Yes.
you like it?
I do.
I remember the Pinkerton logo being "We never sleep" and that big eye.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm leaning towards that, but I like the Abraham Lincoln thing too. And I don't think the Osage Indians would hire any white men.
Well,
They actually did.
we just read Killers.
Oh,
Don't say it anymore.
Okay, well, I'm going with Osage.
Okay, go with the Osage.
What are you going with then, Joanne? Did you decide?
I think I'll go with the Lincoln.
Okay. Well, my favorite was the Osage, but this time I went with the one that I thought was the most audacious, and that was the Lincoln one. I just couldn't imagine making up all those facts about such a true historical figure. So I went with Lincoln. So that's 1 for Osage and 3
For Lincoln.
for Lincoln, and nobody for your puppy dog.
Wait, what about Dana?
No, I voted for Lincoln.
Oh,
I
yeah.
voted for Lincoln
Okay.
first.
Well, I get a point, girls.
Because it was the first one?
Oh,
Gosh.
Well done.
Bravo, Gail.
Joanne, I wanted to kick you under the table so you get a point.
Wait. You got to say that in the microphone. We need to hear that threat.
I wanted to kick Joanne under the table so she'd get a point.
Well, isn't that interesting?
I remember the big eye and We Never Sleep.
I remember that, yeah.
So, Mary, don't you have some?
I do have some. I just
this one.
didn't want to rush us through. But before that, I hear a noise.
Oh, what is that noise?
Oh, I think it's time for a mystic moment. Did anything have a quick little mystic thing happen to you recently? Anybody?
I did.
All right, tell us
Jimmy
about your
and
mystic
I
moment.
were camping on the Toccoa River. And this little campsite, it was owned by some people that had lived there for years and years and years. It was just, like I said, right on the Toccoa River. There was spots across a little creek that were for tent camping. And so we went over there and to investigate it. And there were these huge bamboo forests. I'm talking about bamboo bigger than my arm, round. And as I was walking along, not looking where I was going, I stepped into a puddle. Well, in that puddle was a dozen monarch butterflies that
Wow.
all fluttered up around
That's a
me.
mystic
That is
moment.
mystic.
Wow.
Beautiful.
All fluttered
Fabulous.
up around me. It was beautiful, much beautiful.
Anybody else have a mystic moment they want to share?
Well, I was just visiting some friends in Birmingham, and they've converted they have a nice old house, and they had a shed in the back, and they've made it into kind of a guest room. But it's really still kind of a shed, to be honest. And we had a terrible thunderstorm. I mean, usually I love a good thunderstorm, but this was just constant lightning and really loud, and the bolts and the whole works. And actually, I got afraid. I mean, I thought, why am I so nervous? And the next morning, come to find out that a house 2 streets up was actually hit by lightning and burst into flames.
That is pretty crazy mystic.
Well, no, that's,
So,
but that's
scary mystic.
That's bad
good
mystic.
instinct.
Very scary. I had a quick mystic moment. I was walking in the parking lot and I found an empty slipper on the sidewalk. And I looked at it.
Did it fit?
It's such a weird thing to see one empty shoe. And I took a
Did you look
closer
for Cinderella?
I took a closer look at the shoe, and emblazoned across the top strap it said, "Never accept defeat."
Yeah. You took a picture of that.
I did. I put it on Facebook. I almost walked by it and I thought, no, that's actually funny. So I did take a picture. That was my mystic moment.
My mystic moment was we're Bob, my husband, and I are bird appreciators because we have this huge window in our main room and we can watch them. I looked out the window about a week ago, and in our backyard was an enormous owl and had its wings in front. I couldn't tell what it was at first. In front, because it had captured not one but 2 chipmunks,
Oh my God.
and one got away.
Ooh. Did it run away or did it like slowly
It
dive
actually,
internal
when the
injuries?
owl grabbed one and took off, the other one took its chance and ran out from under the wings and went under the shed.
Wow.
Now, and Bob said he was willing to give the owl as many chipmunks as he wanted.
I'm sure. Gail does have the hands down best bird watching house ever.
Yeah.
In fact, we had a little bit of a problem this morning because we usually sit in the same seats every time we podcast, but for some reason I needed to trade seats with Joanne, and she's like, I can't sit here and look out this window. I won't pay attention.
That's why I haven't gotten any points. I'm going, oh, look.
It's true.
The hummingbirds.
Yeah. We counted 16 hummingbirds not just as the sun was going down last night at our 2 feeders, and they're right by the window.
Wow. Well, this is going to be our moment of truth because I've got the last. Unless Gail, do you have another shorty?
I do, but I'm willing to.
I have one too.
Okay.
Give it-
Okay.
I'll-
I'll tell you what.
go
I'll
ahead.
do mine, and then I think we'll probably have time to do Joanne's, and then we'll see. Okay.
Well,
so
Mary,
far,
Mary, do yours.
I am just letting everybody know the scores. Mary, Margie, Dana are tied for 2. Joanne has 0 points, but a lot of bird watching. And Gail has 3.
Wow. Okay.
And I have 4 stories because I didn't follow my own directions.
How
They're
many
not real long.
many are true?
1. One is true.
Then that fits.
All right. Beware the dummy thief. Police in Essex, England, are investigating 4 incidents of a man stealing dummies straight from the mouths of babes. Dummies. This is just my whatever I'm poking in. That means a pacifier.
Yeah.
Passy. Yeah.
The perpetrator, described as slim, white, aged in his 20s with light brown eyes and yellow teeth, remains at large. Essex police have a photograph of a suspect wearing a black hooded top and carrying a black Nike bag and request to speak to him. Chief Inspector Paul Assange assures the public that this is an active investigation. I urge you to continue going about your daily business as usual, but be vigilant of anyone acting suspiciously. So, number 1, the dummy thief.
And he steals them out of the mouths of babes.
Says, straight from the mouths of babes.
Are these big, beautiful women or children?
It's a news report. I didn't
It's a
Google anything.
pacifier.
Well, you never know. Those
No, I
women
mean,
at
are they
rave
out of the
events.
mouths of
A
babes?
Schlüssel.
Yeah.
Number 2. Zhang Li of Hangzhou, China, suffered heat exhaustion and humiliation after being forced to dress as a Malay sun bear as part of an exhibition at the Hangzhou Zoo where he worked. I was not given a choice, he said in a statement issued on CGTN. The suit was beautifully crafted. I tried my best to copy exactly the real bear's movements and attitudes, but in the end, I was just a man in a bear suit. Zhang Wei, briefly hospitalized for heat exhaustion after temperatures inside the bear suit reached 120 degrees, has quit his job at the zoo, but hopes the public will continue to visit the exhibit to see Angela, the real sun bear, who resides there. Any questions?
Wait, those are just 2 stories. Have you got 2 more?
Mm-hmm. That was
okay.
1 and 2.
Okay.
Number 3. Mattel's Fall of the House of Cards has taken the toy giant by surprise. Top resource executive Mark Loden responded to this quarter's 12% drop in reported earnings, a loss of $257 million in revenue stream. We've drawn a reverse card. The boom we saw in sales of Uno cards during COVID is over. To address this slump, Mattel is hiring Uno card masters to play cards on the clock, brainstorm strategies to, quote, add pizzazz, and tap into the post-COVID market. Salaries for Uno card masters start at $97K and do not require high school or college degrees. According to Loden, we're drawing that wild card with high expectations. And number 4, Carnival Cruise Lines has announced a new themed cruise to begin in summer 2024. Fans of Sex and the City are expected to flock to the And Just Like That, Friendships Never Go Out of Style cruise, celebrating the storied friendship of Carrie, Charlotte, Miranda, and Samantha. Guests are required to sign up in groups of 4, with each participant identifying as one of the 4 characters. We encourage guests to remain in character for the entire week, said Marie Estevez, Carnival's marketing director. Per the company's diversity and inclusion policy, all sexes and genders are welcome. In fact, Estevez adds, this might redefine the term transatlantic cruise. That was my number 4.
Okay.
Very good, Mary.
But only one is true.
Well, I think the transatlantic cruise, that quote makes number 4 wrong, because if you say that, you're going to
Hell?
no, you're not going to hell. You're going to be sued. And I'm going with the Sun Bear, number 2. I don't know. I just loved it. Also, the guy taking the pacifiers had yellow teeth, and I think you added that. And
Now, Gail, are you being whatever is
That should be technical.
Angloist?
well, I do know that the English don't take care of their teeth like the Americans do,
That's what they say.
but I'm still going with Sun Bear number 2.
Okay. Anybody else ready to vote?
And I think if you get this right, you should get 2 points, because you have to choose between 4.
Oh, you do?
Oh, shy.
Well, I was thinking, which of these would Mary invent? And I thought the sun bear was probably something she would invent, and as the dummy thief. But the last one, I thought, why would she ever think about Sex in the City? You know, why would that even come into her imaginary? And up until the last line, she had me. But I'm still going to go for number 4.
Sex and City Cruise,
I was gonna
transatlantic.
say, that's not fair. You know Mary better than any of us.
Well, you all know me
Well,
in
that's
different
not
ways.
true.
She's just known me longer.
Well, I really like the bear one too, because that could happen, but I don't really know. They've got the bears. I don't know why somebody has to dress up as one, but they do have those sun bears in China. The cruise is so outrageous. And with the whole new Barbie craze, seems
Mattel
like
doesn't have anything to worry about.
I wouldn't
No.
think.
No,
Yeah.
they don't. Oh, gee. Joanne, what do you think? Well, Joanne's never gotten one right, so I'm going to go with what she does.
Why are you asking her then? Why are you asking
I'm going
Joanne?
with the opposite. Okay.
I did like the dummy thief. You know, in Austria, it's called a Schlüssel, which is a key. You know, and so the dummy, I can see them calling it a dummy in England.
Well, that's for sure.
And I like the bear suit one because just the way, you know, the Asian people are just so stoic.
Yeah, and I saw it on the evening news.
I know. And you saw it on the evening news. I'm going to go with the dummy thief.
Well, you know, dummy, it's because they can't speak.
Yeah.
They become dumb.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm
And
going
you don't want them to speak.
I'm going to go with the dummy too, because we don't call them dummies. We call them passies or something, and I
We call
never heard the
pacifiers,
dummy
yeah.
used.
Or binky.
Yeah. So
So are y'all all 3 dummies?
no, she's the
No, I
cruise.
was the Sex in the City.
Oh, okay.
I'm going with the dummy.
So we got Sex in the City, dummy.
And what was the
bear.
4th one that no one would choose? Oh,
Mattel.
the Uno game.
Yeah.
Champion.
Cards, yeah.
Okay, so y'all were right not to choose that one because I did sort of make it up, but it is true that they are hiring master Uno card players at an astonishingly high rate to play
That's
cards.
hysterical.
But it's not because they're in a big slump or whatever, but that's crazy. And so the true one is the dummy. And
Oh my God.
And the
Joanne.
quote is
Leave it.
the quote is word for word. The description in his 20s, light brown eyes and yellow teeth. That is right off the news report.
Dummy. I thought gave it away as a dummy called the dummy, because I don't think you would call it a dummy either.
No, but if I was making up something about England, I would look up what do they call pacifiers.
Was
I wouldn't have gone that far.
Was there
I
any
went
truth
very
to the
far.
sun bears? Because I know they've been on the
Yes.
news.
Okay, so the reason I did the sun bear was because they have a new sun bear exhibit, and the people on Instagram were accusing the zoo of hiring a man in a bear
I
suit.
saw that.
Yeah, I saw
But
that.
it's not true. There is
It's a
no man
bear.
in a bear suit. It's a sun
They
bear.
didn't like the way the back looked.
It wrinkled at the
Yeah.
buttocks.
And so I saw
so
that. I did see it on the
funny.
evening news,
Poor
but not in this.
bear. Making fun of his
And I
fur.
totally made up the thing about the Sex and the City cruise.
Why did that even come into your
Absolutely.
head?
I have no idea. But I thought my line about redefining the term transatlantic cruise was pretty good.
Bravo.
Okay, so let's see. 2 dummies on that one. Margie and Joanne get a point.
I got a point. I'm so excited.
And that's really mean to take kids' pacifiers out.
And
You know,
it's
really
weird.
mean. And
It
it's
is.
weird.
And it was funny too because
Well,
it
you know,
happened to
he's-
4 children over. I didn't put it was like over a long period of time. And the way they're like, we are taking this serious investigation, and also we request to speak to the suspect. I love it. Okay, Gail.
All right, my last one is on the Chicago 7 trial.
Ooh. Oh, I think I might be able to remember that.
Y'all better vote with Margie. She's the oldest. Okay, the Chicago 7 trial. The infamous activist Abby Hoffman began writing Steal This Book while awaiting trial as part of the Chicago 7. Hoffman and his 6 conspirators were prosecuted by the U.S. government for their part in anti-Vietnam War, in protesting, and counterculture protest outside the 1968 Democratic National Convention. That's the first story. The second story on the Chicago trial was Judge Julius Hoffman refused comment during the Chicago 7 trial and ultimately closed proceedings ostensibly to protect a defendant's right to a fair trial by an impartial jury or to protect privacy interests of witnesses, jurors, or victims. But much later, he closed the trial to everyone, because he was mistreating the defendants. But much later, unbeknownst to Abbie Hoffman, it came to light that Judge Julius Hoffman was a second cousin to him. And the third one is Tom Hayden helped found Students for Democratic Society, SDS, and was arrested as one of the Chicago Seven and indicted for conspiracy to incite riots that was accompanied the 1968 Democratic Convention in Chicago. During the trial, he met Jane Fonda, who attended the trial on a regular basis, and they eventually married.
Okay.
Well, I know those two got married.
Yeah, me too.
I don't know where they met.
Yeah, me either. And it's all true about Abbie Hoffman, too. You know, I'm not sure if they met there either, but I'm going to go with 3.
Yeah, me too.
The marriage.
I'm going with 3 too, and y'all can say I have a star by it, so you know I'm not just basing mine off you.
I would go with number 1, but I don't believe that Abbie Hoffman started writing Steal This Book then.
That was my thing. I thought, is that
You think it
is
was
that it?
later,
So-
earlier?
I think it was after.
After is what I would
But
think.
you know what?
too.
I'm going to go with number 1 anyway.
Okay. So Margie and Mary and Dana are going with number 3, and Joanne's going with number 1. Nobody's going for number 2, and if that's the real one, Gail gets another point. Gail gets another point. Damn. Oh,
She does.
Yeah,
oh, Joanne gets the point. Okay. Steal this book. Okay. Huh.
You went with number 1, right?
That was
Yep,
the
I
true
said
one.
Number 1.
You
Now.
stole my point, Joanne.
I was really into Abbie Hoffman and Steal This Book.
He did start writing it then.
Okay.
And I know all my friends tried to steal the book. I wasn't very good at stealing. I was never a shoplifter. Most of all, if somebody was stealing, I left the scene because I didn't want to be involved. But I remember many people stealing that book, and they made no money off the book.
So a long time ago, somebody close to me called a place of business and asked about the prices for their products, and he wouldn't disclose his name. And for some reason, the person wouldn't give him the price without him telling his name. It was pretty weird. And they issued an arrest for him for harassment over the phone or something weird. And this person who was close to me found out about it and went to the Auburn Police Department and stood in front of the window and said, "I'm Abbie Hoffman. I'm here to turn myself in." And the clerk turned around and said, "There's an Abbie Hoffman here." And my friend defended himself at trial and won. You actually are allowed to call and ask what somebody's prices are without revealing your name.
I wonder what shop he was calling.
That is so funny.
I wonder.
I don't get it.
Details are
Harassment.
Well, Abbie Hoffman was always hiding.
Oh,
you know,
but your
he was
friend
on the lam.
Yeah, your friend said he was Abbie Hoffman.
He was goofing around and expected the clerk to laugh, and she thought there was really a man here named Abbie Hoffman.
She was not.
Had no idea that
Clerks
there
are
had
not
been
the
an
best.
Abbie Hoffman
Oh,
who had been on the lam.
and what is your friend's name?
Oh, it's not Abbie Hoffman. But, you know,
Dana, who
since
did
my
that?
friend's not
I
a
don't know.
Dana, it was Dana Gynther.
Since my friend is not a mystic and does not have access to our defender, I'm going to leave my friend's name out of
That's
it.
all right.
So,
All right.
all right. Well, this brings us to the end. Let's see who won. There's Mary has 2, Margie 3, Dana, Joanne 2, and Gail 3. So Margie and Gail are tied. Do we have a runoff? Can we do a tiebreaker?
Okay, I have a tiebreaker. Well,
Okay,
I'm
yeah,
just going to tell you one short little
Okay.
thing and about Spanish culture. You decide if it's true or false.
And this is just the 2 and tie.
yeah, these two, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yep,
the
that's
Margie
good.
and Gail.
Decide whether
Okay.
it's true or false.
True or
Right.
false?
So traditionally in Spain, we do not have Santa Claus. And the day of the 24th and 25th are not big ticket days. The big day is the 6th of January when the kings came. So on those, 24th, 25th, you might have a meal, you might go to church. But on the 5th, the night of the 5th, children all over Spain are waiting for the kings to arrive. And so they put out 3 glasses of cognac, 3 cigars, and they put hay on the balcony for the flying camels.
Whoa.
True or false?
Well, I know that the 6th is the Epiphany, and it's the last of the 12 days of Christmas. I don't know about those other things, but I'm going to go with true.
I'm going with true.
It's true. That's not a tiebreaker. Joanne, what do you got?
True, false, tiebreakers.
Okay, I can do a true false
No,
tiebreaker.
I think there should be 2 gifts, one for Margie, one for Gail.
Do we have gifts? We have gifts? We have gifts?
I have gifts.
A brand new car.
A new car.
That's right. This is part of one that I was going to go with, but tell me if it's true or false. Soda, the meaning of soda. We're wordsmiths, and I'm always interested in where do words come from. The meaning of soda is carbonated water was first used in 1834 when it was known as soda water. Soda is a naturally occurring substance found in alkaline lakes and produced by burning different seaside plants. Although it is now commercially made from soda, we get bicarbonate of soda, we have soda crackers, soda bread, baking soda. However, soda pop or soda water does not have soda in it. But etymologists have determined that the word, when used as a carbonated beverage, came from the Medieval Latin sodanum, a headache remedy, that ultimately came from the Arabic suda, S-U-D-A, which means splitting headache. And I know after a night of being overserved, my husband enjoys a Coca-Cola soda for that purpose. Is that true or false?
I'll go with true, although they drank the Coke for the cocaine, but there's a lot in there. Some of it could be false, but I'll go with true.
I'm going with true.
It's not going to break the tie either way. True or false?
It's false.
Oh. All right. Well, I think that we just are going to have to go with these 2 queens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As the winners of today's game.
All right.
Congratulations.
Margie is the queen apparent.
Well, we have had a great time playing Wait, Telamystic. And it is now time to sign off with our trademark tagline, Be the Flame,
Not the moth.